Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to take a look at an older figure, but it is definitely a very nice looking figure at first glance, and it's one that I actually was on the hunt for quite a while because I was really drawn to it. This is the Bullyland Arizonasaurus, and it's the only company that I know of personally that has created an Arizonasaurus. If you happen to know of any others, definitely let me know because I really am quite intrigued by this species overall, but finding a figure of this species is nearly impossible. Luckily, Bullyland at one time was creating many obscure species and definitely tons of species that nobody else ever took a chance on, so thankfully, Bullyland went ahead and created this Arizonasaurus, and I could not be happier with it. At first glance, I think it looks really cool, so let's go ahead and get a closer look at this figure right now. So one thing about Bullyland, I think when I was initially introduced to them and I had seen a few images of their figures, I kind of just dismissed them and didn't really look into them too much. It wasn't until I actually bought the Bullyland Allosaurus and Stegosaurus that I really became quite enamored, I would say, with the Bullyland line and started to look a little more into it. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized how good their figures really are and how many very cool obscure species they had released when it came to their figures. And that is when I discovered this Arizonasaurus and immediately fell in love with it. Looking up here at the head sculpt, you can see that the head sculpt is pretty nicely done. The teeth are a little bit sloppily painted, that's for sure, and that is one thing that I think a lot of older Bullyland figures kind of suffered from, was somewhat sloppy teeth when it came to the paint, but for the most part they don't look too bad on this side, a little bit right there, but they look decent. They just look a little sloppier over here. Moving past these sloppy teeth, you can see that the overall scaling of the face looks pretty nice. There's nothing crazy about it, nothing overly sculpted that I can say is absolutely jaw-dropping or gorgeous, but I think it definitely serves its purpose and really does present quite the very nice head sculpt for sure, and really beautiful detailing on the head sculpt. You've got the nostril right there sculpted out and painted and highlighted with a nice darkish coloration to really elaborate the nostril. The eyes also include a nice dark paint inside, kind of like a dark wash that surrounds the eyes, and then you've got a yellow eye with a black pupil. It doesn't look perfect, it's a little bit sloppy, and that's another thing that Bullyland figures, at least the older ones, tend to kind of suffer from time to time, is a little bit of sloppy paintwork of the eyes. And you can kind of see the same thing over here, but I don't think either eye looks bad, and I actually quite like them for the most part. I don't think that they're sloppily enough that you can consider either eye a problem, and they are for the most part both kind of placed pretty well as far as that yellow coloration goes, so that's a plus as well. The inside of the mouth is a little bit hard to get into and see. The upper side doesn't look like it includes any actual paint other than that brown that is primarily the body color, and the inside of the mouth on the tongue area does appear to have like a pinkish coloration, but the mouth is so small and dark in there, it's really hard to get in and actually see it. Once we start to move back here down the body, you can see how nice the detailing really is. You've got quite a bit of scaling up there, some pretty big rough scales up on the upper side of the head leading into the neck. Again, lots of really nice creasing in the skin in this region because the Arizonasaurus has its head turned to the left, so it would be really nicely bunching the skin up. You can also pick up on some osteoderms and stuff here and there in the body region as well. Leading down here, you can see some nice muscle tone right there, along with some very nice paintwork. You've got kind of like a reddish brown, more so red I think than brown, but it looks really cool. But you also have kind of some splotches of like a grayish coloration appearing here and there, and it looks really cool. Definitely a pretty nice flashy look to it. You've got some nicely painted nails here as well with a grayish coloration that look to be painted quite nicely, no sloppiness or anything, and they do appear to have a little bit of a gloss to help them shine pretty realistically. Moving back up here into the body, the skin texture looks really nice in my opinion. Very reptilian, which is exactly what you would expect to find on this animal. Lots of osteoderms all over the place as well. You've got kind of some skin bunching up there in the stomach region as this leg is pushing into the body right there. You've got some really nice sculpt and detail up here on the sail as well, which of course would be one of the most striking attributes of this species. And you can also see that it's painted with a nice grayish color, but it kind of runs along the top and then runs through the center and then runs through the bottom. with areas of the gray leading up through, which you can also see that reddish brown, similar to what you see on the body, that kind of creeps in certain areas in between. And it looks really cool. Again, nothing overly bright and flashy, but honestly something I could probably see this animal being. As we lead down here into the thigh, you've got some very nice muscle tone there, very nice musculature in the calf as well. Beautifully sculpted out kneecap there in the front of the leg. Beautiful foot sculpt as well. Very nicely painted nails. Definitely a really nice sculpt, I think, on this. Probably one of my favorite Bullyland sculpts, I would say. As we lead back here into the tail, you got lots of creasing in the skin of the tail, and again some osteoderms that pick up here and there. Really nice grayish striping as we lead out the length of the tail, giving it a really nice, very striking look for sure. As we look at this side of the neck, again the skin is stretched quite nicely, as the Arizonasaurus now has its head turned to the left, so it would be stretching the skin, and you definitely see that shown quite nicely here in the sculpt of the figure. Nice striping again here in the neck region with that grayish color, and then as we move back into the body, it picks up more so into like a spotting on the animal as opposed to that striping. And you can also see kind of like some hints of a little bit of a darker red, or I guess I should say actually a brighter red here and there on the animal as well, giving it just a little bit of extra color variation, a little more color tone, which is always a good thing. You can again see that the sculpt work looks great right here as well. Nice scaling, again very rough looking skin texture on the animal. Beautifully painted nails once again here. And then we move up into the stomach, and you can again pick up on how beautiful the skin detail is. The skin texture on this is phenomenal, and lots of really nice osteoderms all over the animal. Skin stretching off of the body as this leg would be pulling the skin right there, so really nice attention to detail. The sail looks great, sculpted just like it is on the opposing side and painted the same way again, with areas of like that red kind of creeping through. And again, as we lead down here into the body, you can really just in this general vicinity see just so much movement going on with the animal. Really like that. Very nicely defined thigh muscle there and calf as we lead down into the foot, and beautifully painted nails once again with that nice gloss coat of that gray. And then back up here into the tail as we lead out the length of the tail, you can see the really nice skin texture, again some osteoderms picking up here and there, and the beautiful striping, that very nice vibrant gray that they've used. If we look at the underside, you've got a little bit of a variation of brown there, a very nice light brown. As we lead through the entire body, it transitions to like a grayish color here on the underneath, and then back to the brown for the underside of the throat. So I think this Arizonasaurus figure from Bullyland is absolutely fantastic. As far as a size goes, for a length on the Arizonasaurus from the head to the tail, you're looking at about 8¼ inches or around 21 centimeters. And for a size, just under 4 inches or 10 centimeters to the top of the sail. For a size comparison, there is the Papo T-Rex, Robert Muldoon, and the Attack Pack Colovosaurus from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line. And you can see in comparison to the Arizonasaurus that it's probably like a medium figure, maybe closer to small type of a range, but honestly I think it does sport some pretty nice size, and considering it's an Arizonasaurus, no matter what the size is, I'm still happy in general to have one. But honestly, I really think that it is a very nicely sized figure, probably what I would consider maybe a perfect size for what an Arizonasaurus figure should be. So this Bullyland Arizonasaurus, in my opinion, is fantastic. To have an Arizonasaurus being made by anyone is just awesome, because it's a species that, more so than most, has really been overlooked. And considering it has a sail-like appearance that's very similar to the Spinosaurus, you would expect it to have more figures made of it just for that specific reason. Kind of one of the reasons I would imagine Dimetrodon is so popular is due to it having a large sail on its back. But for some reason, Arizonasaurus is still continuously looked over and looked past when it comes to figures being made, and I personally don't know why, because I think the species is really beautiful, such an incredibly wonderful, very underrated reptile that we just do not see figures get made of ever. So lucky for us, Bullyland exists, and Bullyland went ahead and made their own version of it, and honestly it is a really nice looking version of an Arizonasaurus, and I think the sculpt overall looks really good as well. It kind of appears as though it's just walking along and maybe happened to spot maybe a small animal running by, and maybe it's going for a quick lunge to take a bite. Who knows, regardless, I still think it looks really, really cool. It may even be yawning as it's walking along, and maybe it's tired, because honestly, the positioning of the body doesn't give me the feeling that it's in any kind of a hurry. Really looks like it's just kind of relaxed walking along, but with the mouth being open, maybe it is giving out a nice yawn and it's about to lay down for a nap. The detailing is fantastic, beautiful sculpt and detail as far as the very minute details, wonderful scaling and really nice osteoderm-like appearance to the majority of the body. The paintwork is also really beautifully done, lots of very nice color tones that I would expect to find on something like this. Definitely very realistic appearance to the paint scheme, and the paint is all applied really nicely as well, and for the most part really does look like body color and not paint on a figure, so that is always another huge plus when you can say that about a figure. The only things that are even slight downsides for it are the sloppy teeth, which they're not even that bad. They're definitely sloppy, but they could be a lot worse. And the slightly sloppy painted eyes, but even those aren't that bad either. So as far as the downsides go, they're very few, very small downsides. The upside, this is an Arizonasaurus figure, so how much more of an upside do you need? It really is a wonderful looking figure for sure. So if you want to pick this up, unfortunately, it is discontinued and has been for quite some time from Bullyland. A lot of these older Bullyland figures are really hard to get a hold of. Your best bet is probably to just search it out on eBay and hopefully you'll get lucky. It actually took me quite a while to even locate one on there, so they don't come on there too often. But when you do happen to see one, I highly recommend sweeping in and picking it up because it really is a fantastic figure. So make sure that you do go ahead and search this out at some point if you are interested. But before you do that, also like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of any future videos, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.